Hi y'all, and welcome back to my channel. I will apologize now for the saturation in and out. For some reason, my outfit, my hair, it is causing it to have issues, and I am this close to just punching my lights in sheer frustration. I mean, I do so much and I try so hard, and all I ask for them to do is maintain a nice, straight, just consistent stream of light, and they can't even do that. Also, if it looks like I am sweating profusely, it's because I am. For some reason, my body is in a state of, I don't want to say panic, but it doesn't know what to do with itself. 1 minute it's cool and it's fine, the next minute, I might as well be in the Sahara Desert and my upper lip is just awful. But all of that aside, today we're gonna get all kinds of, this isn't really a discussion, this is just me being nasty. I'm gonna talk about what I consider, in my opinion, to be some of the ugliest palettes to ever be released. Now, clearly this sort of thing is very preference based. What I consider to be beautiful, some of y'all could be considering ugly, because I love them mustardy tones. I love green, I love yellow, I love pink. I like an abnormal color story. So comparing that to someone who is more akin to liking neutrals, there's gonna be a little bit of difference in opinion. Although I do think that some things are somewhat universal, at least a couple of the palettes that I have on here that are just like, I don't think there was really any thought put into this. So take everything with a grain of salt. This is just my opinion. If I trash talk a palette that I think is ugly, that is something that you absolutely love, that is fantastic. You keep doing you, boo-boo. Because we each have different expectations, different desires, different wants, different needs, different aesthetics. I can't tell you how many palettes I've shown to my mom, and I've been like, oh, Mom, look at that. And Mom's like, I would never wear that on my eyes. This video will take into consideration eyeshadow color stories, as well as in some eyeshadow format, meaning how the brand decides it wants to take the eyeshadow and put it in the palette. Y'all know that is a source of agita for your girl. So without further ado, let's just get into the ugliest palettes ever, at least in my opinion. Now we're gonna start with the palette that started it all. My mother came over and we were going through my section of decluttered makeup. I was deciding what I wanted to deal with selling, what I would give to friends and family, what I would donate, and I pulled out the Too Faced white chocolate bar. Now, thinking back, enlightened Soraya now would kind of wish that she could go back in time and slap the shiz out of Soraya then for thinking it was okay to overlook that god-awful color story for the sake of a review, for the sake of owning it, because it's a chocolate bar. Oh, would I have words with myself back then. I don't know anyone who thinks this palette is either palatable or attractive or any of those wonderful words that I use to describe palettes, such as Melt Gemini, Blood Sugar, Venus XL. All of those wonderful descriptive words will never, ever be used for this travesty, this awful excuse for an eyeshadow palette that was created and curated on the sole reason that it's an extension of the chocolate bar family. Like, I kid you not, I pulled this thing out and I opened it up and I was just like, why? Why? It is not inclusive by any extent of the word. It is filled with pasty, nasty, ashy, awful looking colors. No, I mean, if we're talking about the whatever, like no pigmentation, blendability was shiz. If I can remember, I will leave my review down below, but looking at that thing, nowadays Soraya would anti-haul that so hard. I would use it. Have I talked about it in the makeup we didn't ask for? Because if I haven't, y'all know that shiz is going on that list for another one of those videos because it is just a pathetic, sad excuse of a palette that was used to be a cash grab during the holidays because it's an extension of the chocolate bar whatevers. I'm sorry, Too Faced. We are more enlightened for your BS. We're not taking it anymore. And I really wish that your girl would have had it within her to look at that thing and realize how much use she wouldn't get out of it, realize how ugly it was, and realize how much wasted money, wasted $49 down the drain. Okay, then let's talk about one that I'm not as, offended by, mostly because I didn't buy it. I mean, when you buy a palette that you then later realize you're like, that shit is ugly, you're like, why did I buy it? What possessed me to think that was any sort of good purchase? Because I guarantee you, I wasn't even monetized at the time. I was going to be like, yeah, because I could have made money back by reviewing it. No. But the KVD Kitten Neupop Shade and Light Pop of Purple, Pop of Pink palette. I am all for a interesting aesthetic. I'm all for weird color stories that sort of verge into more alternative. Basically, the majority of Jeffree Star palettes, the majority of Melt Cosmetics palettes, and then KVD were doing this branding thing, and they were like, okay, we've got leftover packaging from the Shade and Light whatever. Let's take some leftover shades that didn't make it into holiday palettes, and let's take that mishmash of 4 unrelated, uncorrelating shades and put them in this leftover packaging and give it a funky name like Kitten Neupop. No! This thing is ugly. You know, I mean, I love purple and pink as well as the next person, but when you put it in this little teeny tiny baby of a whatever, and you give me a crap ton of that like first shade, then you give me a little transition shade, as much as I love purple and pink, I ain't letting y'all off the hook. It's ugly, and you know it's ugly. You didn't release this thinking it was going to be anything innovative or amazing, or that the masses would accept it with open arms. You had leftover product that you needed to make a release out of, and that's how this awful, horrible travesty, weird chimera mistake came to be. Like, this is some alchemy shiz gone wrong. Y'all put this thing through the cooker, it came out, and you were like, well, I guess this is what we've got. I guess we gotta sell it now. And you went into the dictionary and just fuddled up these weird random words and be like, okay, all right, if we give it a cool and edgy and whatever name, then people will be impressed by our verbiage. Now, no. We are not impressed with your verbiage. We are not impressed with your attempt to rebrand by using leftover packaging. Cut the umbilical cord, move on, make your own shiz like those blushes and lip whatevers, and leave the Kitten Neupop at home. Just take it out and shoot it. It's ugly, it's not well thought out, it's not on brand, and for an eyeshadow palette with a purple and a pink that's not even a matte, that you have the audacity to put into a palette that's main selling point is shade and light eye contour palette. I'm up for shading and contouring with purple and pink, but y'all, with that palette, you ain't shading and contouring nothing. It was rude, stupid, ugly, and unnecessary, and if they keep releasing obnoxious shiz like this, I mean, I don't have a lot of hope for the brand. The blushes and the whatever, I was like, oh boy, but then they're gonna pull out this ridiculousness and be like, this is totally a product people want and need. No, it's not. It's ugly. Put it back. Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. Okay, this next one is very subjective. Urban Decay, who is a repeat offender. We'll see if we can get through all of these. If not, there'll be a part 2 and a part 3 and a part 4 and a part 5, because if there's anything companies love to do, it's release unnecessary, redundant, and ugly eyeshadow palettes. But the Urban Decay Naked Reloaded. Now y'all know your girl is not the I don't live for basic neutrals. I decluttered my chocolate bars. I decluttered the majority of my naked palettes. You know, I decluttered this one because I was a stupid moron who anti-hauled it and then was like, I need to get a review out of it. Ooh, boy, I tell you, the theme of this is now Soraya would just go back and just go to town on old Soraya's butt. I should honestly do a video. I've seen a couple people do it roasting my purchases. That would be fun. We're gonna do that video. But looking at this palette, it isn't anything that's like overtly offensive. Like, you don't look at it and you don't initially want to throw up. Whereas with the other two ones, yeah, the gag reflexes is really performing on those two. But if you look at this and you think of the plethora, the myriad of neutral palettes we have from every blinking brand, every blinking band. I'm getting so heated, I think I'm having a stroke, or at least an aneurysm. Think of all the neutral palettes we have from every blinking brand on the market. This palette is not only underwhelming compared to Anastasia Soft Glam, compared to the Naked palette that it replaced. This thing was just lackluster. They were like, let's take light, pasty neutrals and throw a kind of corally red shade in there. I mean, not only was it not anything new, I mean, the breadth of color diversity within that palette was laughable. The amount of like soft, gentle, ethereal setting shades was ridiculous. It was definitely a palette destined for 2 skin tones. And if your skin tone was anything lighter than a sheet of paper, then Jesus take the wheel, this shiz ain't working for you. And so it may not be inherently ugly. I know a couple of y'all have said you love that palette, and like I stated in the beginning, that's amazing. I am seriously very happy for you. There is nothing I love more than people loving the makeup they have and have bought. But looking at this shiz, compared to other things, other neutral palettes, same price point, lower price point, I mean, it's just not cutting it. Not in the neutral category, and not in the category of Urban Decay being beauty with an edge, where they're gonna give us the softest neutrals ever with a punch of a random color because it's edgy. I can tell you right now, we ain't gonna get through this shiz at all. We are at like 19 minutes and we've gone through 3. Okay, this one I've been wanting to talk about in a couple different videos and I haven't, so we're gonna talk about it here today. I don't know this brand, but this is the Qing Beauty Shop, the Brazilian Carnival headache of all headache-inducing palettes. I don't know why Trend Mood posted this. I know she's very big into her Trend Mood spotlight. Let's talk about indie brands. We all know how I feel about that. If you can post about friggity frackin' shades on a makeup page, I don't care if they're Morphe's whatever sisterness. If you can post about shades and think that's appropriate for your page, you can just post indie makeup brands without it being a spotlight. Indie brands are just as viable, if not more viable, than the majority of mainstream brands today. But not this palette. I can't say anything about the other whatevers that the company might have, but y'all, this shiz is 99 shades. I have spoken fairly freely about smaller, more curated palettes being the wave of the future. We're done with the Morphe 35 whatever, the giant Norvina having 12,000 shades and having 28 repeats. If you've got that many repeats in a Morphe palette, imagine how many repeats you're gonna have in a palette that's got 99. And I don't want to hear. No, oh, well, it'll be great for makeup artists because it has so much. What makeup artist is gonna whip out this 99 shade palette that's bigger than the table they're working from? And what frustrates me is the palette. Like, okay, there's the top section, you're looking at it, and you look at the top row here, and the section over here on this side, and then the section over here on this side. If they just cut those out and made those palettes, those were pretty sections. But then when you take everything out of the kitchen and you put it in one pot, it is just this hideously, disgustingly overwhelming, ugly, there's just too much. Like, I don't care if someone thinks like, well, every color is beautiful. There's too much going on here for this to be considered beautiful. There's not even a color theory. It's just any kind of color they can think of in no consistent, streamlined way. We're just throwing up eyeshadows into this thing at this point. I don't know how much they paid her or why she decided this palette was the palette we needed to talk about. But I mean, we need to talk about it because it's a problem. Oh, any normal brands, please, no, don't make a 50 eyeshadow palette, let alone don't make 99. Ooh, just know that is a bad idea on so many. I don't want to hear nobody being like, well, it's got a mirror in it. Of course it has a mirror in it. It's bigger than your beauty vanity. It's ugly. I'm sorry. It's just got too much going on. Too many, just too much. Just no. Just ugly in concept and ugly in everything else. Okay, then we're gonna talk about something that might be a little controversial, whatever, I don't care. I own this palette. I have not decluttered it because I use it because I love the formula. But as going through my whatevers, I had to be completely honest. I was like, yeah, that color story is pretty lacking, and compared to other things, it's kind of ugly. But the Jeffree Star Bloodlust palette. The palette that was gonna be the end-all be-all purple venture. The palette that was gonna give us royalty vibes from here all the way through to 2021. The palette that then revealed kind of emitted a big giant womp 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 throughout the beauty community, especially for color lovers. It's not the worst color theory. It's definitely not the best. I mean, if you want purple, get you the Lilac You a Lot and It's My Pleasure from ColourPop and you're good to go. I don't know if my alternatives to Jeffree Star palettes is up yet, but we talk about all kinds of other purple palettes you can get that beat out this shiz, that don't have that stupid red, that stupid aqua whatever, and the black with glitter in it. I mean, my dude, you have curated Blue Blood, you have curated Bloodlust, you have curated Jawbreaker, and for some reason, your mind decided to throw together these like pasty, lighty, purpley whatevers with some random shades, and you were gonna call that your purple Bloodlust palette. I kinda understand the red. I do. I kind of understand the red. It goes in the Bloodlust theme. Red and purple are very beautiful complementary colors. But people who gonna be buying this shiz, I'm sure already have Bloodlust, which what color kind of palette is that? It's red, Jeffree. It's red. So I don't know why you taking this single red shade and you putting it, and if you even think about the blue, yeah, it's more of like a aqua, tealy, whatever, not true blue, but if you got the blue blood, you just take it all together and you transmutative alchemy it into one whatever palette. Stop taking elements from other palettes and putting them into this one color story palette that you can't even get the complete color story going on because you want to be edgy and innovative. Don't pull an Urban Decay where you give us a subpar theme of purple and then think you're gonna make it better by throwing in something punchy and random. It's like me, I'm gonna be like, you know what guys, I am going to produce whatever, the most amazing pink palette that ever existed, and I curate like, I don't know, whatever, and then I decide I have the gall to put in that pink palette a brown. Not a correlating brown, not a transition shade, because if you're doing pink, your transition shade is gonna be pink. But I just felt it behooved me to put a random shade up in there. So it's not that the color theory on a whole is ugly, but definitely compared to what it could be. Compared to what he's produced in the past. This sort of half thought out, really softer, subtly purple. I mean, this was gonna be purple blood lust. Y'all know what lust is? I'm gonna let you Google that shiz because I don't want to get demonetized by going into too many details. But when you take something and you run with the blood sugar and the blue blood that have these really intense color theories that go perfectly with the theme, and then you produce, yes, compared to your other color stories and compared to what it could be, is ugly. Okay, we're gonna end on one that's less about, obviously we're gonna do this again because I did not get anywhere near covering my whole list. So if you like this video, definitely let me know down below if you'd like to see me continue this, because apparently if there's anything y'all love, it's watching me get off my rocker. You like seeing me a little unhinged. But we are going to talk about less a color theory and more a particular brand's habit of taking space and wasting it to the 10th power. Yes, everybody, let's bring to the forefront of the class Physicians Formula. I love their foundation. They're not cruelty-free. I am very upset about that. I know a lot of people love their bronzers and their blushes and their whatevers and shiz, but when you have the example I have here that I'm gonna show y'all is this like 2 face products, 4 eyeshadows, and then this much wasted space for, I think, some kind of lip thing, and then like some kind of perfumey thing. That's ugly. That is from a simple design aesthetic standpoint. That is ugly. When? Tell me when, down below, wasted space where they take a palette of any kind, eyeshadow, face, whatever, I don't care, and they carve out an exorbitantly large amount of it to stick something else in it. Let me know down below when that has been attractive and what instance, because I absolutely hate it. Maybe I am just a slut for aesthetic and I will die for the aesthetic before I allow myself to look ugly. But looking at these things, and it's not like they do it once, and it's not like it's a small amount of wasted space. It is literally product and then Grand Canyon of wasted space up in these things. And maybe if you did it once, maybe if you did it twice, but it's just ugly. It's ugly, it's impractical, it's bulky. I don't know anyone who has reviewed or purchased or talked about any of these giant, horrible, catastrophe wasted space palettes and thought, thank you, Physicians Formula. This packaging that's this thick and this much wasted space to accommodate random products, this is what makes my heart go pity pat. If any of y'all have, that's great. Let me know. But for me and my whatevers and my aesthetic purposes, I just think it's wasteful and it's ugly. Could just be me. Maybe I suck at makeup. Obviously, let me know down below your thought process on that. But like I said, for me and my whatevers, that is one of the biggest, I want to say, pet peeves that I just hate it. I just hate it. I see it, and every single time they come out with this shiz, and I'm like, you could just cut that shiz in half. Just cut it in half. Don't do the cutout with the thing in it. Please stop. Stop. Who hurt you, and why are you like this as a company? I would really love to know. But that is all the time I have for this installment of this video. If you enjoy this, definitely let me know. Let me know down below palettes that you think are ugly. Like I stated, obviously it's all subjective and this is just me getting some crazy, funky, whatever content out there. I like being ranty. I like expressing myself. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you. And as always, keep it real. Mwah!